A house of worship is universally supposed to be a sanctuary, a sacred boundary of peace, of deep familial love, and of absolute physical safety. But on a bitterly chilly morning in the rural heart of East Texas, the quiet, pine-scented grounds of a local chapel transformed into the stage for a cold-blooded, clinical execution. Two people walked out of those chapel doors after a routine, court-ordered child custody visitation hearing. They were holding hands, smiling, and fully believing they were finally on the precipice of securing a bright, beautifully stable future for a little 5-year-old girl. They never even made it to their vehicle. Within seconds, a sudden, deafening volley of high-powered gunfire shattered the morning stillness. By the time the acrid smoke cleared from the winter air, Nathan Maddox and his young wife, Krystal Maddox, lay lifeless on the gravel parking lot. To the shocked public, it initially bore all the terrifying hallmarks of a random, senseless act of highway violence. But as veteran Texas Rangers and local homicide investigators began to systematically pull at the bloody threads of this devastating double homicide, they uncovered a reality that was infinitely worse. This was not a random attack. It was an intricately planned, cold-blooded ambush. And the calculated minds behind the trigger belonged to the exact family unit that was legally and morally trusted to protect the innocent child at the absolute dead center of the storm. To fully comprehend how this heartbreaking tragedy unfolded, we have to look directly back at a bitter, multi-year custody war that systematically tore two families apart. Nathan Maddox was, by all accounts of those who knew him, a profoundly devoted father. Years prior, he had been married to an East Texas native named Westfall. Together, they had welcomed a beautiful daughter into the world. However, the marriage proved to be volatile and deeply unstable, ultimately fracturing under the immense weight of personal differences and ending in a bitter divorce. Initially, full primary custody of their young daughter was granted to Kristen and her maternal family. But as the months rolled on, Kristen's personal life began to spiral completely out of control. Her environment became heavily plagued by systemic substance abuse issues, creating an increasingly dangerous and highly volatile living situation for a young child. Determined to save his daughter from an environment of severe neglect, Nathan worked tirelessly to rebuild his life. He eventually reconnected with his old high school sweetheart, Krystal. Krystal was an exceptionally dedicated mother herself, raising 4 children of her own with boundless love and structure. When she married Nathan, she welcomed his little daughter into her heart and home with entirely open arms. Seeing the hazardous conditions his daughter was continuously exposed to under Kristen's care, Nathan and Krystal made a definitive, courageous choice. They officially filed the legal paperwork for full, sole custody of the child. But Nathan and Krystal didn't realize they weren't just fighting a legal battle against a disgruntled ex-wife. They were actively fighting against an insular, deeply codependent family dynamic that refused to relinquish absolute control over the child, no matter the cost. The legal warfare was grueling, draining both sides of their emotional and financial resources over many months. Finally, to facilitate safety and minimize conflict, the family court ordered a structured, supervised visitation schedule. The designated neutral ground chosen by the state was the remote Mount Carmel Baptist Church near Neal, Texas, a safe, holy space meant to strictly guarantee the peace. On January 18, 2014, the family gathered inside the church for a critical visitation session. Inside the building's walls, the psychological tension was utterly palpable. As the official court caseworker monitored the interaction, the writing on the wall became completely undeniable to everyone in the room. Kristen's erratic presentation and documented struggles made it crystal clear. The family court judge was inevitably going to rule entirely in Nathan and Krystal's favor. This very church visit was highly likely to be the final supervised session before Nathan was awarded full, permanent custody. Knowing that their long, exhausting legal nightmare was almost over, Nathan and Krystal smiled, hugged the caseworker, said their gentle goodbyes, and exited the rear church doors into the crisp winter air of the parking lot. They truly believed they had finally won safety for their little girl. They had absolutely no idea they were walking directly into a meticulously staged military-style trap. The ambush statistics. Date, January 18th, 2014. Location, Mount Carmel Baptist Church parking lot. Weapons used, .30-30 rifle, 20-gauge shotgun. Nature of attack, close-range coordinated crossfire. Fatalities, Nathan Maddox, 34, Krystal Maddox, 30. As Nathan and Krystal stepped across the gravel toward their vehicle, the quiet afternoon was completely shattered. Multiple hidden gunmen opened fire simultaneously from covered positions. The attack was swift, devastatingly violent, and utterly merciless. Nathan and Krystal were hit in a coordinated crossfire at close range, suffering catastrophic injuries. Both died instantly on the cold stones of the church parking lot. When the elite Texas Rangers and local sheriff's deputies took command of the horrific crime scene, their suspicion naturally turned immediately toward the bitter ex-wife. But as digital forensic teams began analyzing cell phone tower pings, text messages, and physical forensic ballistics, they uncovered a plot that went far beyond a simple crime of passion. What they discovered was a terrifying, highly organized family syndicate. While Nathan and Krystal were being systematically executed in the cold parking lot outside, Kristen's mother, Nathan's former mother-in-law, Letha Westfall, was stationed strategically deep inside the church sanctuary. Her specific, chilling role in the conspiracy was to act as the inside lookout. She was deliberately keeping Nathan's 5-year-old daughter deeply distracted and occupied with games so the little girl wouldn't look out the window or hear the gunfire that was ending her father's life. Outside, pulling the triggers in a coordinated crossfire, were Kristen Westfall herself and her father, Paul Westfall. They had meticulously packed a high-powered .30-30 rifle and a 20-gauge shotgun to a court-ordered church visit, fully prepared to end a civil legal dispute permanently with a torrent of blood. But the stomach-turning family conspiracy did not end there. Investigators soon executed an arrest warrant for Kristen's brother, Cameron Westfall. While his physical role on the afternoon of the shooting was secondary, he had acted as an active accessory to capital murder. The very next day, Cameron had driven out to the dense Texas backwoods to retrieve the hidden murder weapons and bloody clothing, systematically throwing the evidence into a local pond in a desperate bid to protect his family from the law. The entire Westfall family tree had functioned precisely like a coordinated criminal enterprise, executing a young father and an innocent stepmother simply because their collective ego could not bear the reality of losing a custody battle. ES and sentences in a stark, unyielding white font over a dark charcoal background. The profound shockwaves of the Westfall family's calculated actions completely rocked the communities of East Texas, sparking massive national media attention. But the Texas judicial system moved with absolute, unyielding swiftness to ensure this dangerous family unit would never be able to inflict harm on an innocent soul ever again. When the high-stakes cases finally went before a jury, the sheer mountain of premeditated evidence, including incriminating text messages stating they would take care of Nathan themselves if they couldn't find a hitman, was completely overwhelming. The jury saw the family's deep-seated malice for exactly what it was. Kristen Westfall was swiftly found guilty of capital murder. The judge sentenced her to life in prison without the absolute possibility of parole. Paul Westfall, the patriarch who pulled the trigger, received the exact same fate, convicted of capital murder and ordered to spend the remainder of his natural life within a maximum security facility. Letha Westfall, the grandmother who acted as the inside lookout, pleaded guilty to her role in engaging in organized criminal activity and was handed an identical sentence of life imprisonment. Cameron Westfall, for his secondary role in actively tampering with physical evidence and hiding the firearms, was convicted and sentenced to 10 years in state prison. An entire multi-generational family unit completely and utterly dismantled by the weight of their own toxic, controlling malice. The members of the Westfall family truly believed that through the absolute finality of violence, they would permanently keep a child under their total control. Instead, their blinding, narcissistic hatred left a beautiful little 5-year-old girl completely orphaned, abruptly stripped of a fiercely loving father and a deeply devoted, nurturing stepmother. Furthermore, their actions left 4 other innocent children entirely without a mother. This historical case stands as an unimaginably heartbreaking, permanent reminder of the terrifying lengths to which some individuals will go when they're driven by a pathological need for control and deep-seated malice. It leaves us staring quietly into the dark chapters of criminal history, wondering how so much calculated evil could possibly flourish within the branches of a single family tree. As we close this tragic file, the true focus belongs on the innocent legacies left behind. What are your personal thoughts on the sweeping sentences handed down by the Texas court in this conspiracy? Do you believe the justice system succeeded in protecting the memory of Nathan and Krystal? Let me know your detailed perspectives, reflections, and insights in the comment section below. If you want to ensure that the voices and stories of innocent victims are never forgotten by history, please hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your post notifications. Until our next deep dive into the historical archives, hold your loved ones exceptionally close, stay hypervigilant of your surroundings, and stay safe out there.